Bears weekly football wrap-up and preview show. We're going to take time to discuss what caught our attention from the week that was in the NFL and even a little bit of college football. We'll talk about each matchup, players to watch, our lock bets for the week. And as always, please note, none of our comments regarding gambling are to be considered advice for you to follow. If you do have a gambling problem, please seek help. However, please know that we are not the place to get that help.
Not at all.
Yes, because we've been it's been some sketchy weeks in there. As you may already know,
we had some home runs too.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I had a good week last week, but the first five
messing with Dabo. I told you don't bet on the devil.
We gonna talk about that here in a second. But as you may already have noticed, we are down a man. We have no supervision this week. It is just me and Paul. Ain't no parental guidance.
Inmates are running the asylum.
Right. The principal, he took a day off, and so hey, you're gonna get what you get. But between life circumstances and technical difficulties and whatnot. But he will definitely be back next week better than ever. So we'll be prepared for that. But we can spare ourselves at least 20 minutes of Eagles talk.
Right.
And we can talk about something else. And I started to.
I mean, do we really need to talk about the Eagles?
They are what they are, man. I mean, and to their credit, they're very consistent. But with that, let's start it off like we always do. What caught your attention this past week?
I will say that they moved Chase around. He ran more than an out this week.
You're talking Bengals, right?
Yes. Talking Bengals. Detroit looks really scary.
They look honest. Like they look for real.
They look legitimate. This ain't nobody's Lions. Not your daddies, your granddaddies, your uncles. This ain't nobody's Lions. These are some new Lions.
Yeah.
And usually it's not very good to be a cat in the NFL,
The funny thing is that you say that. I was thinking about when I think this was 2 years ago. The Bengals played a cat team, obviously. They played in prime time. I want to say they played was it Miami? Somebody, and they won, but it wasn't the record, it wasn't the score, it was just this didn't look like what we were used to. This wasn't Marvin Lewis's Bengals. This wasn't Sam Weiss. This is like, nah, man. They legit, like they just look like what we know. There's an expectation that certain teams have that they're not a splash in the pan. This ain't a fluke season. These don't look like fluke Lions team. This look like something that's sustainable. Yeah, the Lions look like they actually have a system in place that you can kind of build on a little bit.
It's not an accident.
Right. It's planned. What we saw last year at the end of the season as they started coming on, they got a machine now.
This is not poor play by the defense. This is not them playing bad teams. These boys are for real. And I'll say this, if they play Philly or San Fran,
that's a problem.
I don't know.
That's right.
Who I'm going to pick.
I'll put it to you this way. You can't say it's a shock if they beat one of them. They're like that legit contender. Put them in the legit. They're no longer, I need to see more. We've seen enough. The Lions are legit contenders in the NFC.
When you jump out the gate on ring ceremony with the flyovers.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's contract getting announced. And then you smack them boys
smack them in the face. Yeah.
In front of the world and the league, because ain't nobody else playing. That's in front of the league too. Like they sent a message and we was like, it was ring night. So we had a whole bunch of excuses. Kelsey was hurt.
Hadn't signed my man Chris Jones. Like, okay. The thing, I'll be honest with you. my thing of the week from week 5 was basically, we get into about in between week 4 and week like 7, 8. That's when you start. Frankly, from a betting standpoint, Vegas knows better how to solidify it and it get real tight. Mm-hmm. Ain't no more, 8.5, point spreads. Nah, they get that thing down to us because there's certain up until about week 7, week 8, you don't know how to undervalue or overvalue. You really don't. You generally have an idea, but you don't know. There's always going to be a couple of teams that you overvalue until you see, they just don't have it. And then there's other teams you undervalue because you're still working off of old data, right?
Facts.
There's a few teams that it's almost like, the lines have been corrected. The obvious one, which isn't really a shock to anybody, is the fact, and it's not even really the outcome of the game that did it for me. When I was able to actually see that Joe Burrow could move, like he could actually move, and I ain't talking about a couple of scrambles for first down. The fact that he could actually move, and the fact that he stopped playing with it and just started just saying, listen, we just gonna go mano a mano. Ja'Marr Chase he's been telling them all year, this ain't hard, people. Find me and get me the ball. Move me into the slot. Put me on the other side. Stop running the same basic stuff. Put me in motion. Like, everybody keeps talking about the 19 targets. It's where he was. He was literally, you could not predict where he was. So what that tells me is that they kind of needed the Bengals needed their back to be up against the wall. And when I say that, what I mean is you don't want to get too far back in the division. So that was good. But there was a couple other teams, though, that stood out where it was like, okay, we've corrected the information. So the Bengals were one of those teams. The other team, surprisingly for me, because it looked a little bit mushy, as the way I describe it. Jacksonville, and everybody talks about it being over. No, Jacksonville, they've kind of, corrected.
Throw it out.
No, not the game. I'm saying I know what I'm looking at now. Jacksonville's going to be there. They're going to now.
You got to throw that out, and here's why: because Jacksonville didn't come back to the States. They stayed over 2 straight weeks, right?
Yeah, but I'm only.
Lot. That's a hell of an advantage.
Oh, it is. I'm only talking about the fact that there were a couple of weeks in there where they looked like they just couldn't score. There was one week they looked like they couldn't score. There was another week they looked like they couldn't stop they couldn't stop a Division II team. Yeah. And so what I'm saying is this is more about confidence that Doug Peterson is what we thought he was, and this wasn't a fluke last year. That obviously Trevor Lawrence is, he's solid, right? So I saw what I needed to see out of them. The other thing too is, and this is something that you've been driving home, and this isn't going to change anything in the standings. I am now convinced that Minnesota is not going to. I overvalued them greatly. They're not coming back, and it's not only because of injuries and things like that. They even if Jefferson didn't get hurt and wasn't on the hour, they're not coming back. Even though, first of all, because Detroit is going to run them, they're literally going to run away and hide.
Minnesota's not trying to win. They're tanking
at all.
They're tanking with honor.
They're selling assets at this point. They're just doing it it's a private auction, right?
Yeah, they're not
like
doing
it ain't public.
Arizona or they're not going to lose loudly. They're actually getting up off of Cousins because they want to keep Jefferson, and they're deciding even if they want Jefferson, to be honest,
because his
how
value.
Many great wide receivers have they had in that organization, and how many titles has it brought them?
Man, at one point they had probably you could argue that
the greatest group in the history of.
They may have had the greatest wide receiver room in the history of the NFL at one point.
Yes.
with when they had Reed, Carter, and Moss.
And Burleson.
Right. Burleson is your
He's the fourth guy.
Oh my God. And Warren Moon.
Yeah.
And Culpepper.
No. Randall Cunningham.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Randall Cunningham. Sorry.
They had
Andre would have lit
Warren
me up
Moon
for that
prior to Randall Cunningham.
Yeah.
But Randall Cunningham
that was the year that was the year. And you think about it, it's like, and it doesn't mean the wide receivers are not valuable. It just means that you have to have the right circumstances. Wide receivers will put you over the top. Like, they're not necessarily going to bring you to the party though. You got to have a defense. You got to have a solid line protecting, on the edge. Like there's lots of other pieces, and sometimes the casual fan doesn't always recognize it. There's a reason why San Francisco is San Francisco. The Eagles are the Eagles. They the Eagles because you look across their line play on both sides of the ball, find the hole.
Yeah, and they just got richer.
Right. So that's basically that. Those teams, I think I overvalued. I've overvalued the Vikings, and then I also overvalue, some other teams. But
I got an emotional hot take.
Okay.
Colts are a playoff team as long as Richardson is on IR.
We agree. You guys don't know this. We've been chatting about this with Minshew.
They're a playoff team.
Easy. And here's the thing. I'll go as far as to say, if you're wounded, if you don't come into the playoffs right, they'll beat you. They're gonna beat you.
They got everything you need.
Yep. That's exactly right.
What we keep forgetting is when Andrew Luck retired, all they needed was a quarterback.
Yeah. And they spent 4 years now?
Yeah. They've been trying to get a quarterback. They started with Rivers, brought him in. Then they brought in Matt Ryan.
Yep.
Right. Then we tried Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know the order, but those
actually you got the Wentz and the Ryan thing mixed up, but that's not the point. Is right.
And I believe if they do to Richardson with Minshew, if they let Minshew play another 2 years, they'll be able to keep Richardson upright for another 10.
Yeah. But because
he needs to learn how to play quarterback. He's a hell of a football
player,
but he's not a good quarterback.
Well, he doesn't see what you want your quarterback, a playoff quarterback. He doesn't see it. Minshew sees everything that you want him to see. Like, that's one of the things about it. It's like, I remember somebody describing this about, who was it? Because even though their body type and style of everything is not the same, but it's kind of like, I remember when Mark Brunell went to the Saints, I think it was, and he was basically just collecting checks, sitting behind Drew Brees. He ended up having to come in and play a few games. Mm-hmm. Some weird, I don't remember the injury. We're probably talking 2010, 11 or something like that. Either way,
some time up with the Jets as well.
Right. But the point was, I remember him years later after he retired, he was doing an interview. He was like, I could still see and make the reads. I still knew when the man went in motion and I see them shift and the linebacker drop it. Like, I still saw it right, but physically, it was just a matter of there was out of the tree. There's a couple of them routes. They know not to. I ain't got it.
Watching Broner fight.
There's certain
he knows what to do. He just can't pull the trigger.
That's exactly
been like
right.
that for about 5 years now.
And my point is that to what you're saying is that the Colts, they are. I'll give it to you like this, and this is and this comes back to Monday Night Football. Both of those teams, the Packers and the Raiders, are actually closer than a lot of people think, but they don't have a quarterback.
I think they both have a quarterback.
Well, I'll say it like this. Love, I don't know that he's ready. When I say, I don't mean he's not.
He's fine. He's fine. If you don't remember Aaron Rodgers' first year, do you?
Oh, absolutely. Just like I remember Carson Palmer's first year.
This.
Yeah, right.
It looked like,
and that's what I mean by he's not ready
like,
yet.
Oh, look at
I don't mean that. I don't mean it. That's what I'm saying. The Packers have a quarterback in the building. They just don't have one ready right now. Now, the Raiders, I don't know that they have a quarterback in the building.
Expectations are low in Green Bay. I mean, I wouldn't say they're low, but they don't expect him to be, 5 and whatever or 6 and whatever. But I don't think they expect to win 12 games.
No, if they go 8-9 this year, I think they'll consider that like, hey, that's about right. We're on schedule. That's it. We want more. Obviously, don't nobody like losing, but we're tracking in the exact direction we want to be.
We're not.
If we win 10 games, we actually blew out expectations. 6, we might be a little disappointed, but it's not like we ready to move off of it.
We're not getting blew out. We're maybe a series or two, a third down conversion, or a false start away from winning most games.
Yep. And that comes with instinctively knowing, because that's the thing about love. Mm-hmm. And this comes with downs and reps and quarter after quarter after quarter of taking the snap.
Right.
A lot of times quarterbacks have to know when to get out of a play.
That is the difference between being a good quarterback and a great quarterback.
Absolutely. The ones you get out of.
Eat the ball and fall down, take the sack.
Yep.
And throw the ball away.
Yep. In fact, Peyton Manning and Eli on their cast on ESPN2 were literally talking about that. How it's the difference between their first year starting and the deer in the headlights and like year 5 or 6. It wasn't the Pro Bowls. It wasn't we got all these players. It was, I knew this based on the personnel I'm looking at, based on the formation, based on, I knew to get out of that play and just say, hey, I'm going to hand it off the edge. And if we only get 1 yard, that's fine. But that's better than throwing a pick. That's better than getting blown up. And, the punter
whatever. Practices too.
Absolutely.
The punt team made the team.
Yep. They actually had to compete to make
let them earn their check.
There you go.
Let them earn their check. Use the whole unit. The whole unit wins a football game, not just the daggone quarterback.
Right. Speaking of which, who was your player that stood out? Like maybe somebody that we didn't see.
Well, okay. Well, obviously you got Chase.
Oh yeah. That was literally a record-breaking performance.
You have him. I thought he was pretty special. And like most things, the quarterback gets all the credit. Look at Burrow; he's looking great. No. It was Ja'Marr Chase.
He just made throws that he's supposed to make.
It was Ja'Marr Chase making him look good as usual. And that's his job. So, but I'd like y'all to put more respect on my man Chase's name.
I know, not putting respect on the man. I mean, 15 catches for 190, $193? And here's the key.
Puka got more credit, more pub than Chase.
But that's because he's a rookie. Okay. Like, we know what to say. We know Chase is capable. Come on, man. We saw the way Chase did the Chiefs. Like, come on now. Like, we know it's not that it wasn't great, but Puka, he's at a point. Honestly, it's funny that you go to, because that's where I was going to go. Mm-hmm. Even in losses, he is putting his stamp on this team.
Well, we'll see if I'm right or not. Because I've been telling y'all that Wonder Boy is overrated. And by Wonder Boy, for those who are listening new to this, I'm talking about McVay. Mm-hmm. Because he's got a receiver room again. Yeah. And I think this receiver room, especially with Kupp coming back, might be better than the one that was in either the 2 Super Bowls he took, the Rams too.
Now the only problem with that is the defense.
They don't have a Hall of Fame back end.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have Eric Weddle and
right.
Because that's really what
that's how they beat the
Eric
Bengals.
Weddle coming up off of his couch.
Yep. And deciding, let me bring my brain power and my knowledge. Like, I know where to be. I don't have to get there in 4-3 time
because
more.
I got Jalen Ramsey to cover up what I can't do.
But as long as
tell him,
as long as Jalen Ramsey covers up for me, I don't have to be. I can be 4-6 fast. I don't have to be 4-3 fast no more. I just got to know where to be, and I'll get there. Yeah. I'm still fast enough, and I'm still physically there. So, I think that's a different. But yes, I honestly believe that there's a little bit of luster that, frankly, has taken too long for people to recognize. Needs to come off of the McVay, like that. It's not that it's not aging well.
Yeah, trading people because they,
personal stuff. Jared Goff is proving you right. It's not what's proving your prediction right.
On me about that, and
it ain't that.
My chest out.
All I'm saying is, I'm saying that I personally don't. I feel like it's 6 for one, half dozen for the other between Goff and Stafford. Right. My only thing is the way that people treated it was like Goff wasn't capable, and I just don't feel like that's right.
I'm at the point where I think Jared Goff is better than Matthew Stafford.
It's quite possible.
I've never seen. I don't ever remember Detroit being this good with Matthew Stafford. And he had a Hall of Famer.
I was going to say the Megatron years. The problem
they played without Amon-Ra.
True.
On Sunday, and that was the most powerful they looked. They played without their best receiver on Sunday.
Now, but the roster, here's the thing. Those are the highlight. Those are the splash players. The roster in Detroit, I haven't ever seen it look this good. Not with Barry Sanders was there. Not with the Danielsons and none of them.
That's what I'm saying. There were players that were household names.
I'm only saying that their roster. This is the best. I'm 48 years old. This is the best roster, top to bottom, I think the Lions have ever had.
I disagree.
I mean, shout out to Lomas Brown, but no. This roster right here, dude, they are young.
Wayne Fontes had some better rosters than these.
Did he really, though?
Yeah.
You know what?
Wayne Fontes has some Hall of Famers. I don't know if this team has any Hall of Famers on it.
We don't know
yet. Maybe the Sewell kid, maybe Panay. I think Panay might be on his way to Canton. But outside of Panay, I like Goff, but I don't see Goff getting a gold jacket. I like Montgomery. I don't see Montgomery even lasting long enough to get a gold jacket.
But do you have to have Hall of Famers to have a better? It's kind of like, do you have to have Hall of Famers to have a better overall roster?
Well, I think so.
I don't know.
And the reason I say so is because, much like you were talking about earlier, when you were talking about teams going from year to year, what casual fans don't understand is that each team is different, even if they consist of the same exact player.
You get 5-6 core guys that stay, but the rest of the roster, that 53-man roster that shows up on a Sunday in the middle of October or November or something,
is different
from year to year. 30 of them cats, 20 of them cats is, 30 is a lot, but no, like you might have 18, 20 guys that they're all together different. And we're talking special teams. We're talking
about this. If it's the same guys, the exact same human beings, they're different next year.
Absolutely, because that's a year more on your knees. That's a year more experience.
It could be better and worse.
But it could be, it could go either way. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'll tell you the other thing that I thought about was that Texans versus Colts game, and you mentioned the Colts earlier. It almost looked like a futures game, like in baseball, where it's like neither of these teams are going to make any noise right now. But again, if the Colts play it right and let Richardson get some actual mentor, let Minshew show him how to play, that will, I think, frankly, serve them well. I just don't know if Irsay is going to let him do it. And then
get $100 million. Minshew can make $150 million this year
somewhere. Oh yeah,
he can make 150.
I honestly kind of would have liked to have seen the Raiders go after him, but I don't think that Josh McDaniels wants it. And then the other thing is, on the other side of that ball, the Texans, I'm sorry, to go 5 games and not throw an interception, and you're actually throwing the ball 35 times a game, that is no small thing. I don't care who you playing.
How about where the Gray Matters got it totally wrong, to borrow off of Colin Cowherd, is we refuse to discuss the AFC South. And the AFC South, every team in the AFC South got a winning record at this point in the season.
That's why I said this is where Vegas in everybody's mind, because I have a strict rule. I don't bet the AFC or the NFC South. If I can avoid them, I will not touch any of those teams, because they live. If I don't care how much they're favored by, they will always fail me. This year has been different. I still don't trust it, but this year, you're right. The AFC South, and I'll be honest with you, the NFC South, with the exception of Carolina. I mean, I know you're not that high on your boy Ritter. But hey,
well, the Falcons are like a Dollar General 49ers because of how they play ball. Like they play cold weather football.
They look like a reserve team. Like they're not the varsity 49ers.
Right.
They're the reserve or the freshmen.
They like the 38ers or something. Like
same, yeah. Well, you know what? Here in Delaware, they have the 87ers.
Right.
Because the 76ers is right up the street.
Right.
Like literally it's right. Wilmington has an 87. Like, yeah, they're like they're almost, it's like a farm squad.
I wouldn't call them a farm squad.
But I'm saying it's the same kind of philosophy.
But their recipe is similar in how they get things done. Like they play tackle football.
Oh yeah. No, they go. Yeah, you're going to walk away from that game
sore.
Yeah, you're going to be tired.
It's an ice tub game.
Yep,
definitely.
So we got a couple of players.
What do you make of the Wilson Bowl? Before we get off into some other things, we can't get off of the games and not discuss
the Wilson Bowl.
The Wilson Bowl.
Well, let me say this: which Wilson? Let me ask you this. I'm going to answer your question, but which Wilson, I'm going to ask you this. Which Wilson are you most frustrated with the idea that you were associated with them by name?
Well, you already know that one. I mean,
do I though?
Yeah, I mean, because this, now we getting into some socio-political type. I feel a way about white people named Wilson because of the whole slavery thing, and
no,
this is bigger
I wanted
this
you to
is
go
bigger
deep.
than that. So
I didn't want you to go quite that deep with it, but yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So you can't ask me that question.
Okay, let me
actually go.
I'll ask it a different way.
And that's no fault to the Wilson.
No, ain't nothing personal, right?
As a black man, when I see somebody Caucasian,
so let me
go through history, and I start thinking, and I start feeling away, and I push those feelings down and bruise on the inside.
So let's ask it this way then.
Yeah.
Which one of the Wilsons in that game, which one of those Wilsons do you feel like has vindicated themselves more?
I tell you what, if I saw either one of them anywhere, I'd probably give them a dap and a hug and tell them it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
In fact, if young Wilson is watching this Pride of Corner Canyon, I would tell him to call Baker Mayfield and have a conversation with him. I'd have him call Jared Goff.
Yes.
Have a conversation with him and just ask what they did when it happened to them that allowed them to push through and keep balling.
Yep.
Because they both have gone through what he's going through right now.
Yep.
Now, Russell, love him to death too. Wish him well. But Russ has had his moment in the sun.
Oh yeah.
He's been a
So
champ.
he's in a totally different.
It's a different type of energy. It's like, hey man, is it over? Or are you still got some juice left? With the young fella, it's like, okay, yeah, he hasn't played well. He's kind of a clunky personality.
He's a fish out of water because he's in New York and he came from Mormon country. Like, come on.
He's got talent and he can be salvaged. The kid's only like what, 24
he's
years
20
old.
Nah, is he 20? Yeah.
He's like,
you're right. He's not even 25
old.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah. He can be salvaged. He's got plenty of football ahead of him. He's a hell of an athlete.
Yep.
Hell of an athlete. Don't let the skin fool you. The boy can run like he's a brother.
Oh no, he's Steve Young. He's Steve Young-ish.
Or Taysom
Hillish. Taysom Hillish, yes.
Yeah,
there you go.
He can scoop.
I think his arm is better.
And he's got a hell of an arm. He's just got to fix everything from the neck up.
Yeah. And not even just recognizing what's happening X's and O's on the field, but just
he's got to learn the people in his huddle and get them to play for him the same, and he's got to play for them.
He needs what the guy told me one time. He said, you need to spend more time going to the barbecues.
Yeah.
He needs to go to more barbecues.
Mm-hmm. He needs to start buying some Christmas gifts.
Hang out with some
attending some
hang out with some
baby showers.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He need to put his little girlfriend or wife in there with the team moms. And
it's literally a cult. It's literally he needs to get more culturally.
This ain't college. These are grown men, and they have to actually feel some kind of way about you in order to throw themselves in the way for you.
That's right.
Because they'll just grade out and still get paid.
Absolutely.
I know how to grade out and not go above and beyond.
Right.
I know how to do what I was supposed to do, and just that.
Now, my other take is that, again, this is kind of like that time of year where, again, we're seeing everybody kind of come into form. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like we're wasting our breath even talking about the NFC, with the exception of the Lions. I don't really feel like anybody's coming. We just need to go ahead. I've said it before. We just need to go ahead and get to the NFC Championship.
I think Seattle's interesting. And we'll see on Sunday, won't we?
That's actually you're forecasting a little bit, but that right there,
I'll save the tease. But I think Seattle's an interesting squad.
Those are but here's what I'm saying. I think it's actually, I'll say it like this: it's a lot cleaner in the NFC than it is in the AFC.
The NFC is better than the AFC. The AFC is overrated.
Well, okay, we'll come back to that. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, I feel like the 49ers, pretty much everybody is just trying to keep them from getting the last Infinity Stone because, dude, that's a problem.
But
here's the thing. I don't know that there's any team. I'll just say it like this: at what is it, week 6? There are no teams in the AFC that I have confidence can beat the 49ers. There are 3 teams that I can see in the NFC that if they were to play this week, I would feel like maybe they have a shot.
I believe there are a few teams that could beat the 49ers in the AFC.
I didn't say they could. I'm saying I wouldn't bet on them.
Styles make fights. I think the 49ers would have a tough time with McDaniels in 2 weeks. Now, he's got to get there. You got to remember, he was in the building and he designed a lot of the things they're doing.
After what and I know it's a division game, after what the Bills did, nah, man.
It was a home game and a divisional game. You got to throw those out, bro. You got to throw those out. The next time the Browns see the Bengals, do you think it's going to be 27-3 the last time?
But here's the thing: the Browns are a bad comparison because the Bengals can't beat the Browns for some reason.
Again,
there was a year the Browns were 4-12.
Game, you would think like, this is the team y'all think gonna win the Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying.
So yeah, but styles definitely make fights. Now Andre's not here, which I hate that because I really did want him to ref a little bit, just kind of freestyle, hand him the mic, and go after some of these go after some of these coaches.
I wanted to ask him why they had so much trouble with the Rams too.
Well, here's the thing.
He's not here to defend himself.
He's not here to defend himself, but I'll say it like this. I'll be candid with you. The way that the Eagles have looked all year, you're going to have an opportunity next week because the Eagles haven't, frankly, really put anybody away.
It's not that they're bad. It's that they're bored. I keep saying this. The Super Bowl,
I don't know.
They want to fast forward the season and get to the playoffs. And that's the easiest way to not make the playoffs.
Or not be ready when the playoffs get there.
Or go home.
Because they're going to make the playoffs. Yeah, they're going to get there and they're going to mess around it. The Bills looked like that a couple years ago. Remember after they... Now. No, I'm talking about after, remember they lost to the Chiefs. And then the next year, it's almost like they was playing. They was like, man, we bored. Let's hurry up and get to January. And then they found out. But I wanted to ask Andre because he started on this past couple of weeks. But some of these coaches, we really haven't put a fine enough point on it, in my opinion. McCarthy showed me that he kind of is what we thought he was. Good coaching mind, but no, like if Vanilla Flavor was a coach, he'd be that dude. And it might be Briars, which is like quality, I'm
not gonna go that far. I don't know why y'all expected anything out of Mike McCarthy to begin with.
Oh, I didn't.
I mean, the man got fired for skipping team meetings.
Yeah.
It's documented.
Yeah.
That he was skipping team meetings to get massages. He was Deshaun Watson before Deshaun Watson. Coach rubbing tug.
Coach. See, so basically, if he
got him on each level, we got Bob Kraft.
I was gonna say, so if Bob Kraft fires Bill Belichick, then he can hire McCarthy. They can bring Deshaun Watson in.
Yes.
And they could actually form both
New England rubbing tugs. Don't leave your girl around them.
Man, this is
skeeted on messing
with them. Listen, this is why we needed supervision. Andre, hurry, get your stuff together. But no, right. McCarthy. But here's the other thing too, and we talked about this. I think it was in whatever the week was when Miami did the deal on Denver. What was that 3 weeks ago? And we talked about how, and it was all over the media. It's still been where everybody was like, "Who deserves the blame?" And I was like, "It's obvious at this point." But for whatever reason, everybody wasn't convinced that this is a Sean Payton problem, not a Russell Wilson problem. Because funny? Russell Wilson's stats are actually like, you might be mistaken for putting him in the MVP conversation based on numbers. And I know we can make numbers.
You can say that about Justin Fields too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Based on the numbers, you can make numbers anything. My point is, he is not able to lift the Broncos that are this bad. That's what my point is. It's not on him. He got nothing to work with. This is what in politics they call this, in government, benign neglect. Well, this is the NFL version of benign neglect.
Well, let's talk about the receiver group. Let's talk about Sutton, and let's talk about Judy, right? And if you remember a few years back, Jameis's last year in Tampa.
Yeah.
If you turn on the tape, they say, well, they say he was 30 for 30. It's the big joke, right? The running joke. Jameis is 30 for 30. But if you actually turn on the tape, Jameis probably threw about 11 interceptions.
The rest of them were just...
They either gave up on the route or they were tip balls.
Volleyball. Them volleyball
what
routes.
I see a lot is I see guys not running routes. I see guys just pulling up and just watching the ball sail over their head. And what I see Russell doing is getting smart.
I was about to say, Russell's like, cuz I'll take the sack.
Me like that. I'll just take the sack.
I'll take the sack. Because I think he's only got 4. interceptions on the year. Yeah. Like, he's not an interception machine. No. He's actually
he's never been one.
He's never been one. That's exactly this
problem is he's never on brand. Been a 50 touchdown a year type of guy, a 350-yard passing type of guy.
Russ gonna give you about 28 touchdowns in the air, probably about 6 on the ground.
And he's probably gonna throw about 10 to 12 picks.
10, yeah. He's not high volume.
None of them, but only 4 of them are gonna be ones that you're gonna be mad about.
Yeah, which is about right.
You know what I'm saying?
But getting back to the coaching part, my thing is this: is there a way? And this, because you've been on this since the very beginning, even before the season started. Is there a way for Sean Payton to be, I don't want to say held accountable, like in the media, because who cares about the media? But is there a way to hold him accountable? Because I almost feel like he's been getting a bit of a pass. Everybody made a big deal about the whole Hackett thing and the Hackett Peyton Bowl. But the fact is, that man deserves to be getting flogged for the coaching job he's doing.
We have our good old boys, right, in the media. We have Gruden. Gruden still ain't really got no smoke. They just let Gruden disappear.
They just let him vanish. Go gracefully.
Yeah, they just let him disappear. And then he was rooting, kicking up dust a few months ago, and they didn't even pay attention to it.
Nope. At all.
At all. They just gave him the dignity of ignoring him. Right? And then we got McVay, who, if that was Tomlin trading Roethlisberger, and if he had traded Roethlisberger and Le'Veon Bell because they said his wife was fine, how long? I mean, could you imagine the media fallout behind that?
Oh, I'll take it a step further. Why is Tomlin even making a? Why is?
Think about.
Why are we even in that space? Why do you care?
Because
this is what I'm saying.
Well, that's why you don't hire coaches that young.
Yeah, this is true.
That's literally the actual issue. Is you shouldn't be hiring 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
To coach 35-year-olds or to coach 27-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the nature of it, to be honest. I don't care how much football the guy knows. There's a different level of
you can't command
respect.
Yeah, you can't command the room and command respect
without a little gray in your beard.
Literally. Something.
I mean, you got to get that in your face before somebody is gonna think you gotta go through something. Ain't nobody 27, 30 years old been through nothing.
Yeah, I was even thinking about how many cats they put in their time in the league. They played 10 years or whatever. They still came up and they don't automatically go to head coaching. Like, you got to be the linebacker coach for a little while, or you got to be the, position coach or a consultant, or you got to, and you ain't got to do it for 20 years. But
no, but you at least need to see how things are ran on a day-to-day before you can get into taking this type of job.
Yeah. Or be extremely deferential and humble, almost like McDaniels in Miami. Mm-hmm. Like, he does not try to.
But he's a good old boy because he's a nepo baby, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah. My point is that the way he presents himself, there's no hubris about it. There's no I'm a know-it-all, even though he is actually certifiably brilliant. I mean,
he's I've done my digging on homeboy. Mm-hmm. He's a football lifer.
Yeah, he come from the film room, kind of like Spoelstra did.
He's a football lifer, so he's kind of been fast-tracked through things, kind of like Belichick's son. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But he actually put his pads on. I don't think Belichick's son even put pads on. I think he's just been following dad around his whole life, which could be plenty if your dad is Belichick. But it wasn't enough for Michael Jordan's son. I mean.
And speaking of coaches getting smoked, and this has been well chronicled or whatever, but is Bill Belichick at the end?
He's past the end. Him and Sean Payton are too old. The game's passed them by. They can't. They just don't get it anymore.
Right.
And I'd say I'm one of those people. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
You can still break it down, but you don't.
I don't get it anymore. My generation is different than these kids today. I'm too far removed in the way I want things done and the way I believe they should be done. And with the way they practice nowadays, they don't
hit. Nobody hits.
How do you know who's good?
Yeah. How can I know that you can bring another man down to the ground if I've never seen you do it? Like
that
literally
was high school or that was college, but this is different. I need to see you do this.
I have to see you be able to bounce off of I got to see you break a tackle to know you can break a tackle.
Yeah. So what happens now is you get into the underwear Olympics and the political game that it's hard to actually compete and take a man's spot these days because of how they practice and how they do things.
I can't distinguish myself physically anymore the way that it used to be. It's got a great example of that, even though it's
I'm bit of an eye test guy.
Yeah.
You look at me when I walk in the room, I don't look like I could play a little bit. But we strap it up.
The film says something different, right?
Yeah, I'm different. In live action, look different out there.
Well, right? I was getting ready to say they tell a great story.
Are built weird, right? You see a chubby dude would run over feet, and you'll be like, "Oh, he can't move." And then you put some he snap his chin strap, and he's a god.
He's skipping, yeah. they did a they talked about how it was well chronicled how in fact Shannon Sharp was talking about this one time about how Terrell Davis, how like he was basically a guy who was he was on the fringe of even making the squad until they actually saw him in a game. Yeah. And it was like, wait a minute, they ran that tape back the next after a preseason game. It was like, no.
It was the kickoff coverage.
Dude, because
went down there and smoked the guy.
Smoked somebody, yeah. And they said, wait a minute, we got to give him a couple more runs. Like give him some actual burn, put him out there, and he just started. Yeah, like he was trucking dudes, running through him, running past. Right. Like he
and
hit
they hadn't even given him an evaluation.
Didn't even have no workup, no write up on him. He was just a guy. He was a camp body. That's what they call him. He was a camp body until he wasn't. But now camp bodies don't get.
You can't evaluate. You can't crack through.
Yep.
You can't go out there and be on scout team and cook somebody and be like, "Who? Oh, hold on. Who are you? Come over here with us."
Yep.
You don't belong over there.
Yep. Let's see some. Yeah. So.
That's the story of my life.
Looking at the schedule, let's move on to week 6. Looking at the schedule, what do you see coming up that piques your interest?
Let me bring it up.
Because I got like 4 absolute lock bets. They're not going to be good games. As far as, even if they're entertaining or it's your team, it may be something for you to watch. But I got 4 games that are going to be like, take the money. So that's my gambling part. Okay. And then I've got a few games. I got like 3 games that give me some intrigue.
All right, let's just do the games that I think are interesting, and we'll do gambling after.
Bet. Let's do that.
Okay. We gotta be honest with you. This is gonna be an exciting week.
I'll tell you my first
one. We got a bunch of games that I actually do want to watch this week.
Yep. There's 4 of them that I don't even want to see because I know they're not gonna be good. But there's a bunch of other ones that are like, I don't know.
They're statement games in a way for me that can tell me if a team is going in the right direction. There's some get off the bus games too, like Minnesota and Chicago is
that's actually
wait till next year.
That is my first
next year.
But that's actually the one that will actually like
that's your season is over.
Yeah. There is life support. We just gonna pull the plug on one of y'all.
Yes. We are not watching any more games that either one of y'all are in.
After this week. It's week 6. You're canceled. One of y'all getting canceled.
Right. Like the only reason we watching the game tonight is because Patrick Mahomes is in the mug.
There you go. Okay.
Let's see here. And then, like I said, we got a couple games where it's like, oh, are you for real or not? Like Naptown and Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. Who's who, right? Who's about that?
We're going to say
and Falcons.
I think I know what the Colts are. But this will solidify what Jacksonville is or isn't.
Right.
This is going to tell me more about Jacksonville than it will the Colts. In my personal, just my personal opinion. Okay. Now, I'll tell you another one I'm looking at. I need to know. I do not expect the Browns to win. I think San Francisco comes across the country and takes care of business. But I need to see something from Cleveland because Cleveland, they might have been selling some wolf tickets. Like they might have just got, in other words, I think they may have gotten the Bengals when they were down. They may have gotten a couple of little cheesy kind of cheap ones, but they're weird to me.
I'm not done with the Browns. I told you, I think the Browns are the second best team in the North. I think the Browns are going to play, and it depends on if Rub and Tug plays. Now, if 4 is out there, this is all contingent on 4 playing. If 4 doesn't play, they're gonna roll the Browns. And they only gonna roll the Browns because the defense is gonna have to play 37 minutes.
I was about to say 42 minutes. Like, okay. Yeah, they're gonna have to play 2/3 of the game, right? Yeah. Either way.
But I think if Watson can play, I think they might be able to beat San Francisco because it is a 1:00 game and they're coming east and they're riding high.
But here's the thing.
And it's a short week.
I have the same exact take as you, but for 2 different reasons. One, I think that Seattle might be kind of sort of looking over Cleveland a little bit.
No, San Francisco.
I'm sorry.
Seattle was in
I'm sorry. I ain't got
a little bit south.
I spoke it wrong. San Francisco might be looking at Cleveland and kind of thinking
that he ain't gonna play.
He ain't gonna play. We just need to do enough to get past them, but let's save a little bit. But the other thing too is I don't think it's not physical. It's not a matter of the team makeup and the personnel. Mm-hmm. I don't trust. I cannot trust this regime with the Browns because mentally they just don't. It's like they're just weird.
It's the coach.
And so what I'm saying is it's not because I think that man-to-man, position-to-position, the Browns aren't good. I don't think that mentally they're the most consistent team. I don't really trust them, is what I'm saying. So that's but I agree with you that if Deshaun Watson doesn't play, they're gonna get rolled. Mm-hmm. If he plays, what I need to see from the Browns, honestly, to move me kind of to where you are, mm-hmm. I need to see that the Browns make it a game.
I think they'll make it a game even with the backup in.
I don't know that they have the mentality. I think they'll fold.
I just still think they'll lose by. I still think it'll be a 2-possession game. They'll lose by at least 11 with the backup.
So basically, they'll look like the Cardinals did last week versus Cincinnati.
Probably
because essentially
the defense is better.
Well, yeah. But then again, the 49ers are better than the Bengals. Yeah, but yeah, okay. So 2-possession game.
Yeah.
2-possession game.
But a short 2, but a medium 2. Not it's a medium 2. It's not 10.
Okay.
It's 11. Like it's a 8 and a 3. That's the 2 point. Okay. That's the 2-possession. You know what I'm saying?
I honestly think not because I think either of these teams are going anywhere particularly fast or in a hurry or whatever. I kind of want to see Washington has disappointed me slightly over the past couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to see what they do on the road in Atlanta.
That's a coin flip game for me.
Right. I think
I don't trust either quarterback.
I want to believe.
I like both running games though.
Yeah. I want to, but here's the thing. I want to believe that Washington can go on the road and get it done. But here's the thing: I don't have a read, and I think that's one of those games that'll give me a little bit. The other one is, dude, I need Baltimore. They're not quite in the same position as Cleveland, but I need Baltimore. Baltimore's gonna have to go in there and take that game from Tennessee.
That's a rock fight.
And I need them to go in there and like do it.
That is a rock fight in a mud, in the mud, in a downpour. That is just.
Here's the thing.
That's a good old fashioned game of punch in the face.
And here's the thing. I don't believe you ever want to go into Nashville and punch Mike Vrabel's team in the face. Because they're like fighting Roberto Duran.
But you gotta punch him in the face.
Well, I know. I understand. And that's the only way they play. And my thing is, I was sold all preseason that Lamar had help. They went and got OBJ. Right. They went and drafted Flowers.
I knew OBJ wouldn't make it to Halloween, bro.
Dude, listen. You know, I was already on that train.
He won't. He ain't even trick or treat. I said that in group chat.
Wait a minute.
He's gonna be trick or treat.
What did my man Porter say? He said, "Go be a family man."
He said, "Go be a family man." Man, go kick it with the models in Fashion Week, bro. Go do you. Go be famous.
Did he say something
Drake need a hug,
he
man?
He said, "Go find the Kardashians or something. Go be a family man."
Right.
Like, my point is, I was sold on this. The Ravens got a new offense now. They got rid of Greg Roman. They brought in somebody else.
And Lamar's been decent. Look, man, don't blame last week on him.
No. What I was going to say is Lamar is basically experiencing what I consider Russell Wilson to be experiencing. He's just on a better team. The team around Lamar is failing him.
Yes.
I can say that objectively. I'm not rooting for the Ravens for obvious reasons, but the fact is they are failing that man.
Yes. Well,
the offensive coordinator, the receiving.
I don't know why they expected. When Nelson Aguilar drops the ball, like
who? Right.
Who's to blame?
You for putting him in the route.
You know what? I'm gonna bring up some pain. I'm gonna bring up. This ain't childhood trauma. But it is 90s trauma. Remember Jeff Blake used to throw them pretty balls up in the air, and Darnay Scott used to run up under them and only drop them?
Because he was the fastest man on the field 99 times out of 100, but his hands...
He caught a few of them, but my God, he would always drop one too.
He would always drop the one that hurt the most.
Yes.
And it's like, bro,
he have a day too. He be having about 100 yards, and then
because Darnay Scott would have one job, and that's called we have to be able to count on you because they're doubling Carl Pickens. Mm-hmm. They got 3 men over there because Carl Pickens didn't drop nothing, and that's what made it so frustrating.
Well, they also had what's his name, Battaglia. Battaglia was decent.
Marco Battaglia, yeah. That's before they drafted Tony. In fact, they had him and Tony McGee at the same time. At one point.
I think they drafted him because they had Tony McGee.
Yeah.
Tony McGee couldn't catch a cold butt naked in Alaska. Oh Lord.
With no Theraflu?
With no
Wow.
He couldn't catch COVID in a California airport 3 years ago licking toilet seats.
My goodness. Now here's another one for you real quick. I don't know if you had any other ones, but I'll tell you the other one that I'm looking at. I think Detroit and Tampa.
I was avoiding that.
Well, here's the thing. That is going to tell me that's your game. If you're not watching that game, you're fraudulent. Okay,
that's the P-Dub Bowl.
That's the Paul Wilson Invitational. Okay, that's the Paul Wilson Classic. But I'll say this: I think it will tell me more about Tampa than it will about Detroit.
You know what? Speaking of Tampa and the segue back and forth between the game we were just talking about, if Ron Rivera had actually got the real Baker Mayfield instead of a lookalike, he might be in a different space right now.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah.
I really like
Don't do that to Sam. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
But no, that's gonna tell me what I need to know about Tampa. If I should even take them seriously or not.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they got enough to beat Detroit. I just think on defense, I just don't think they can match up well. And I don't think Tampa can match the output offensively.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing much out of Williams. He's disgruntled. Now, I think he's banged up. I'm not saying he's like taking downs off or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
He seems banged up and then also pressing because he wants his money.
Right.
And that only means that you're going to have a yo-yo type of season, a roller coaster season. It's going to be up and down. It's going to come and go. I haven't really seen Godwin this year really doing much.
No. I want to say it was 2 weeks ago or something, like he kind of got off a little bit, but he hasn't been consistent at all.
Mm-hmm. But the defense,
what you would expect.
Yeah. Baker's been making some timely throws. The defense is really, like, Bowles has got that defense flying around. And I don't think he's getting enough credit for how hard they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think him and I think Tampa and Arizona, even though Arizona's trash, I don't mind watching them play. They put a good product on television.
They're not tanking. They're tanking the right way. Let's put it that way.
Well, they're not. The players are not.
Don't know. They're not participating in the tank.
You know how, like, it's like Major League, the movie,
mm-hmm.
where the upstairs brass are like, well, we know so-and-so's available and this and that. Well, we just not going to put a good group of guys on the field. We're going to put a team on the field that's going to fight, but they're just not going to be equipped with enough talent or weaponry to compete.
Right.
And I think these guys have said F you to the guys upstairs and are putting tape out for the other 31 teams.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's go ahead and bust through, because there's really not there's a bunch of really good games out there.
How about Dallas bouncing back versus San Diego? Oh, San Diego.
No, you're forgiven.
The Chargers.
Don't nobody believe, man. They still San Diego Superchargers, but
both of those teams, both of
those teams need a win.
Well, it's kind of like who's for real and who's not.
It's the same as that Seattle-Cincinnati game.
Well,
same with Jacksonville and Indianapolis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Washington and
Washington and Atlanta. There's I see 6 games on the schedule that basically fit that same description.
Right. Like, who's real and who's not.
There's a lot of what you might call, what we look at and think might be evenly matched.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna separate it, this is separation.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, like we talked about last week, the Bengals won, but you kind of expected them to, and that didn't really tell me a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Do it against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And then I can actually respect it.
They looked last week against
Seattle, the Seahawks.
I'm wearing my Chase jersey next episode.
Okay. And that's kind of the thing. The same thing with there's, like I said, there's about 6 games. I feel like Baltimore, Tennessee fits that. Mm-hmm. Washington, Atlanta fits that. Mm-hmm. Seattle, Cincinnati fits that.
Yep.
I think
Dallas kept Cleveland and San Francisco.
Actually, that's what I was saying. It's a little bit iffy, but I feel like Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and I definitely feel like Dallas and the Chargers.
Well, when we was talking about your season is over for good, playing for next year,
mm-hmm.
Don't buy a house game. New England at Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, that's an elimination game.
Yeah.
That's an elimination game.
Either one of y'all for the rest of the year, unless y'all playing somebody.
I'll tell you what's sneaky. Arizona and the Rams. Cardinals and Rams. That's a just go ahead.
That's a competitive football game.
I know, but whoever loses, just go ahead.
My upset of the week is the Jets beating Philly.
I'm
throwing that in there because Andre ain't here.
He said he can't fight back.
He can't even fight back. But when they do, when they do, ultimately beat down
now
Zach Wilson and the Slamming Five.
Since
Garrett
you
Wilson
got there,
and the Slamming Five.
Okay.
He can come back on the episode and have all kind of smoke for me.
Since we're there, I got 2 upsets.
Okay.
That ain't nobody gonna see coming. I got Denver upsetting Kansas City. That's the first one.
So you think Kansas City, or you think Denver's going to play defense this evening?
I think Denver is going to actually show up and look like the past 3 years of defense we've seen.
Okay, because Kansas City's offense is the defense is carrying them this year.
Absolutely.
Which is why I believe they're scary.
And I think here's the thing. I think all the talk, I think they're going to give I think they're going to give their best effort. And I think everybody expects them to go into Kansas City and lay down. And I say this only to say they're either going to be in a dog fight and Denver's going to squeak it out in the end, or Kansas City going to come out and put 28 points on them in the first quarter.
Yeah.
It's going to be a get right game for Kansas City. Like they're going to try to match what Miami did, or Denver's going to take them to the wire and they're going to squeak it out. It's going to be a last-second field goal. And everybody, all the buzz is going to be, how did Denver revive their season?
I think and give some people some food. Could be a good game too.
Well, yes. That I'm going to have all the screens going.
I think, and I'm predicting CJ is going to throw his first pick.
Here's my other one, though. I actually agree with you on the upset with the Jets, because
Carolina might be able to I think Carolina might mess around and upset Miami as well. Those are my 2 upsets for the week.
They don't have the juice. The reason why I agree with you on the Jets is I think that the Jets have actually, I don't know if there's going to be enough. I think that they figured something out. I don't know how to explain it. I think they figured something out with their offensive attack that
need to run Wilson.
Yeah. If they could, yeah. But here's the thing. And the only trepidation I have with that, because I don't want to be just outright disrespectful, but it depends. Both of those, in my opinion, both Kansas City, Denver, and Philadelphia Jets, it depends on the more dominant, superior team coming in and taking it lightly. And I think both of those teams are right to take it lightly.
The Jets aren't your typical
2 and 3 team.
Good team. Yeah. Again, if I was the Jets, I'd run Wilson. I'd use him much like Rivera and the boys used Cam, much like they're using Justin Fields. And I believe if they had drafted Justin Fields instead of Wilson, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. There would be no Aaron Rodgers in New York.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers would probably be in San Francisco.
Where he wanted to be anyway.
Because I believe they would be all in on Justin Fields.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would be running Justin Fields because he can. Oddly enough, when you watch them both in college, Wilson ran a lot. Justin Fields did not.
Didn't at all.
At all. Ryan Day, I used to yell at him about not running.
That was one of my biggest gripes against Ryan Day at Ohio State. Like, dude, why aren't you allowing him to keep drives going?
Well,
run the clock.
He was trying to make him the number 1 player drafted. Yeah. And to Ryan Day's credit,
he did.
I understand why he
college.
Did
that's why. Yeah, college is different in that way. Yeah,
develop him and show that he could do the things that you said he couldn't. He didn't want you talking about his guy like they talked about Lamar.
Yeah, that's exactly. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But you
talking about, can you go run a routes split out here and yeah. So let me ask you this to wrap it up.
All right.
What are your bets? What are your lock bets for the weekend? If you want to sprinkle some college in there or something you want to see there too.
You know what? Let me see here.
Because I got 4 good ones.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you my 4 right quick. These are locks. Okay. We got the Dolphins taking on Carolina.
Okay.
I don't even care what the spread is. I've seen Carolina a couple times this year. They do not have enough to be able to slow them down. And I'm not even talking about the track meet with all the receivers. I'm talking about Mostert is going to have probably his best game of the season.
13.5?
Yeah, take it. Take it. If it were 16.5, I'd tell you to take it. So that's my first one. The second one is the Bills are going to destroy the Giants. And it's personal. It's going to be bad. Because they still feel like they're not getting the credit they deserve. Mm-hmm. So take that one. Even though it is going to be kind of one of those litmus test games, I think there's really good value in the Detroit-Tampa game.
Yeah, I mean it's the Lions are favored by 3.
Yeah, and I like that because I think they'll win by a touchdown. I think it'll be a good game, but I think that the Lions are actually for real.
I'd take the under. Under's 42.5.
Yeah, because I think their defense they're gonna grind it out. Mm-hmm. But I think that just based on personnel and what I've seen, I think Detroit is going to be able to. The only reason I'm a little bit squeamish because it's on the road, but I think there's good value because of what did you say, 3.5?
It's 3.
Yeah, I would take that 3 all day long, and then just moving over to college, 2 other games. For whatever reason, Colorado is only favored by 3.5, I think, over Stanford.
Take it.
Take that. Take that. They're going to win by, and the over. There you go. Stanford is not good on, they're not particularly good on defense. And then also, too, Shedeur gets his weapons back.
Take the Bucks and the 19.5.
Oh, yeah. If you can get that, definitely. Purdue, even though it's on the road and Purdue is always scrappy, Purdue has nothing.
Purdue is bad this year.
They're bad by Purdue standards.
Brom took everything that was worth anything that wasn't nailed down to Louisville with him.
He gutted the weight room.
Ask me how I know.
He gutted the office. Okay.
He took everything that he wanted up out of there.
That man took pencil sharpeners. Mm-hmm. He took his favorite garbage can. Like, there's nothing in Purdue. So whatever the Buckeyes are actually riding kind of high too. So because I think they're going to bye next week, isn't it?
No, they were already.
They just had the bye, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're coming off the bye.
They had the bye before they played Maryland.
You're right. You're correct because they played Maryland. Yes. Okay. So yeah, take Ohio State and then take Colorado. One other game was standing out to me. Which one was it? First of all, I think Oregon, Washington. Even though it's in Washington, I'm not going to. I think there's going to be a good game. I'm not telling you to bet on it. I personally would take Oregon in that. But that's going to be one of my favorite games to watch on Saturday.
You going to be up that late?
I mean, it's at 3:30.
Oh, we're playing.
They have a noon start for them. 12:30 start for them. Okay. And then the last one, actually, because I believe it wasn't like, here's my game to watch. I think that Oregon State is going to actually stomp UCLA. I don't mean stomp like 40 points.
UCLA just knocked off Washington State.
I know.
Knocked off Wazoo last week.
And I think that's the reason why I'm saying I think Oregon State is actually going to put it on them. Because it's not that I think UCLA is not good like their fool's gold. It's just I think people are overvaluing that win against Washington State.
Guy. I just keep it 100. I'm not an Ugalele guy.
Really?
Nope. Nope. Just don't buy it. I see Dante Culpepper.
Really?
Yep.
And since Andre isn't here to defend himself. Louisville's going to have a dogfight against what is it? Pittsburgh. And are they playing? They're playing Pittsburgh, right?
I'm trying to see. Hold on.
Louisville plays. Let me check it. Louisville. Where is it at? Where is it at?
Speaking of Louisville, shout out to Sadiq, man. Get better, fella.
Absolutely, man. That was tough. Absolutely. No, yeah, Louisville plays Pittsburgh. First of all, why y'all on the CW? Number one, do better. But but no, I got Louisville in a dogfight against Pitt.
I got SC big over Indy. Big.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I got let's see here. I got another one. I got I'm gonna take BYU over TCU. TCU is favored by 6.
So you got them for the outright win.
Yeah. I got BYU. I got BYU winning.
On the road.
Yeah.
Dang.
Mm-hmm. I think the bigger school is just gonna handle it.
They just the bigger body's gonna lean, basically.
Yep. They just gonna lean.
Big body's just gonna lean on.
Yep.
Okay.
That's my I think Vanderbilt will cover.
What's the spread on that one?
31.5.
No,
man. I think
and I love the Commodores.
I think they're gonna pack up. They're gonna get up 20.
You think they're gonna get up by 28 and then just start putting in the freshmen?
Yep.
Okay. I can see that. If you can get that, you gotta go to a real sports bet play. Like you gotta go to a real betting house to get that one. They're not even letting that on the little parlay cards and stuff.
What happened to Syracuse?
I don't know, but they ain't gonna get it right against Florida State. You stay away from that game.
Well, I was thinking they would cover because they're supposed to be okay.
What's the spread on it?
17.5.
They ain't covering that.
Florida State they ain't like that this year.
The wheels fell off of Syracuse. It ain't about Florida State. It's about Syracuse. The wheels fell off of them a couple weeks ago. Who did they play? Was it North Carolina or somebody? The wheels fell off. Who was it? It wasn't Boston College. It was whoever it was.
They almost lost to Boston College, if I'm not mistaken.
Here's one out of the MAC, though. What is that spread at Western Michigan? Because Miami's going to cover that. Miami of Ohio.
I was just looking at that, too.
Yeah, they're going to cover. Miami of Ohio.
IU's giving up 33 to them boys up north.
Ooh.
Yeah, Miami is favored by 8.5 over Western.
Take it. That's a good
Tennessee is favored over A&M by 3.
Say Tennessee?
Yep.
Where are they playing? At Tennessee?
At UT.
That sounds about right, actually. That sounds about right. Yeah. I ain't touching that game though. Because
I would take Oklahoma State over Kansas because I don't think the quarterback's going to play.
In Kansas, you mean?
Kansas is favored by 3. I think Oklahoma State will pull.
Yeah, because Kansas, isn't he hurt? Did he get hurt at the end of the game or something like that? Third, fourth quarter, something late.
Yeah, I forget what it was. BYU, if I'm not mistaken.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't think he played last week.
But they pulled it out though. Still.
Yeah.
But who were they playing?
No, I think they lost last week. They lost last week without him, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let's see.
No. They won. Because it was I remember kind of halfway paying attention to it. It was a little bit of a barn burner. I like them a lot this year, and I hate
that. They are 5-1.
Yeah. Yeah, they UCF. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And they knocked it. It was halfway entertaining. All right, well, that's it. Thank you all for joining us once again on our weekly wrap-up show. We're looking forward to week 6 in the NFL and all the college games coming up. We always encourage you to be responsible out there. Make sure that you make good choices. Don't go out there gambling your life away. Don't gamble your car note. You got to get to work. Don't gamble your rent, your house note. don't lose your family over some games. You know, if you need some help, again, don't take our advice. Please don't take our advice. Understand
don't
if you need gambling help,
your wife because your team lost either.
Man, go out there and get the help you need. Just know that we are not the place. Hopefully, though, we did give you some good insight, especially with Audrey not being here. We didn't fill it up with a bunch of Eagles talk and Cardinals and, you know, other random foolishness. But he'll be back soon enough. Yeah. So once again,
you know, we didn't have to hear about old boy from the Spurs because he balled the other night.
Yeah, listen.
Oh, you know what? Shout out to the Las Vegas Aces.
They
mauled the Liberty. Good Lord.
It was such a bad train wreck that you couldn't take your eyes off of it.
Oh my God.
It was good. It was good. And then also too, one of my favorites, this is just personal. Shout out to Dusty Baker for advancing to the American League Championship. The Astros did that thing. So I know Andre would be happy about that because he loves him some Dusty Baker too. We look forward to Andre coming back and being with us next week once again as we take the time to wrap up and look at week 6 and what was, all the outcomes there, and get ready for week 7. So we look forward to seeing you again here with us at the Grave Matters. Be blessed.
Peace.